Have you ever wondered what actually happens in a man's heart when he falls in love? Not what he says, not what he texts, but what his mind and soul go through in that invisible space between meeting someone and realizing, I want her in my life. We often imagine love as instant, a spark, a look, a moment of magic. But for most men, it doesn't happen that way. It's not a light switch, it's a gradual awakening, a subtle shift from curiosity to comfort, from admiration to devotion. And what makes him stay isn't always what you think. It's not about beauty, status, or even the perfect moment. It's about something much deeper, psychological and energetic forces that pull him toward connection, security, and meaning. This is the side of love you don't see, the silent psychology behind why he chooses you. And yes, why sometimes he doesn't. Falling in love is not a one-size-fits-all experience. Men and women often process emotions differently, not because we're from different planets, but because we've been conditioned to express them in different ways. For many men, love doesn't begin with words. It begins with trust. And trust is something built through time, consistency, and emotional safety. Psychologically, the male brain is wired for progression. It loves to move toward a goal. But falling in love is the one journey that shifts him from control to surrender. It's not a linear path. It's more like a spiral, where each layer brings him closer to vulnerability. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." In love, that means most of us don't fall for someone randomly. We fall for people who mirror something unresolved inside us. And for men, this mirror is powerful. It awakens parts of themselves they've hidden under masculine armor. So today, we'll uncover the psychology behind how a man actually falls in love, from first impression to emotional commitment. And we'll go beyond the surface to see how his heart and mind work together in ways you might never notice. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some men walk away from the right woman, and why the ones who are ready for real love always stay. Because falling in love isn't about losing control. It's about finding balance between the heart and the ego. Curiosity, the spark of recognition. Every story begins with a spark, but this spark isn't about looks, it's about energy. When a man first meets someone who intrigues him, his curiosity is activated long before his emotions are. It's the subtle feeling of recognition, as if something about this person resonates with an unseen part of him. From a psychological lens, this is called the projection phase. Carl Jung explained that we project our inner anima or animus, the unconscious feminine or masculine within, onto others. For a man, this first attraction is often his psyche saying, there is something about her that mirrors the part of you you've forgotten. He doesn't fall for her yet. He falls for what she awakens in him. Maybe it's her confidence, her warmth, or even her silence. Something in her challenges his usual emotional rhythm. When curiosity appears, don't rush it. Real love starts when curiosity turns into presence, when you both allow the mystery to unfold instead of forcing it into certainty. Admiration. The mind takes notice. After curiosity comes admiration. This is when the man begins to observe. He starts noticing details, how she treats others, how she holds herself, how she listens. This is not fantasy anymore. It's data collection mixed with emotion. His logical mind evaluates compatibility, but underneath that logic is a longing for safety, the desire to know, can I be myself around her? Here, the polarity of masculine and feminine energy deepens. If the woman embodies calm confidence, rooted yet receptive, it unconsciously signals to his nervous system, you're safe to open. And if the man leads with grounded intention instead of control, it invites her admiration in return. Admiration is where emotional imprinting begins. The dopamine of attraction meets the oxytocin of trust. It's where chemistry begins turning into emotional momentum. If you want admiration to evolve into connection, don't perform, reveal. People fall in love not when you're perfect, but when you're real enough to be understood. Trust. The heart opens in silence. Trust is where curiosity and admiration settle into something sacred. It's when a man's internal walls begin to soften. For the first time, he allows someone inside the space between his thoughts. Psychologically, this is the attachment formation stage. His nervous system begins to associate your presence with emotional regulation. His heartbeat slows when you're near. But spiritually, this is even deeper. It's the soul's whisper saying it's safe to be seen. Men rarely talk about trust as an emotion, yet it's the foundation of their life. Without it, passion becomes protection. With it, vulnerability becomes a bridge. Story example. He's not confessing yet. He's just noticing that when he's with you, he doesn't have to impress. He can exhale. And that's where love begins, not in grand gestures, but in shared stillness. Never underestimate the power of quiet consistency. For both men and women, trust is the moment love moves from the mind to the body. It becomes felt rather than thought. Emotional safety, where his guard begins to fall. After trust forms, the next stage is emotional safety. This is where his nervous system truly relaxes, where he doesn't have to earn love, he can just be in it. Men, especially those who've been taught to be strong, often carry invisible armor, not just to protect themselves from pain, but from being misunderstood. When he feels emotional safety, that armor begins to melt. He doesn't need to act perfect, he just needs to feel accepted. Psychologically, this is where vulnerability meets validation. He tests the waters, maybe by sharing a small story, a fear, or a piece of his past. And your reaction tells him everything. If you meet his vulnerability with empathy instead of analysis, he internalizes that moment as, I'm safe here. I can be seen without being judged. Emotional safety is the invisible foundation of love. It's not created through intensity. It's built through patience, tone, and emotional presence. Respect. When admiration becomes reverence. Once he feels safe, admiration deepens into respect. Respect is quiet. It's the moment he sees you not just as someone he likes, but as someone he values. This is where love begins to take root in identity. He starts thinking, my life feels better because she's in it. He notices your boundaries, your discipline, your emotional intelligence, and he begins to mirror it. From a masculine psychology standpoint, this is crucial. Respect activates his protector archetype, not in a controlling way, but as an instinct to preserve what matters. Spiritually, this is where energies align, masculine strength meeting feminine grace, creating polarity without imbalance. Men don't stay for desire, they stay for respect. And women equally fall deeper when they feel emotionally respected, not just desired. Surrender, when logic yields to emotion. At some point, his logic, that fortress of control, begins to crumble. He stops thinking about why it makes sense and starts feeling that he can't imagine life without her presence. Psychologically, this is called limbic bonding, where emotional memory begins to override rational evaluation. It's no longer about compatibility checklists, it's about connection. He's not addicted, he's anchored. But surrender is not weakness, it's the point where love stops being a choice and starts being a truth. It's where his ego bows to his heart. Story example. He replays her voice in his mind, not because he's obsessed, but because it regulates him. It feels like home. When he's away, he doesn't crave distraction. He craves peace, and peace has her name on it. Love requires surrender, not submission. It's the quiet courage to let the heart lead the way, even when the mind fears the unknown. Realization, the moment he knows. Every man who's truly fallen in love remembers the moment he knew. It rarely happens in a grand gesture. It's often small, ordinary, and breathtakingly human. Maybe it's the way she laughed in the middle of chaos. Maybe it's how she didn't try to fix him when he opened up. Or maybe it's the moment he realized that love doesn't feel like losing freedom. It feels like coming home. From a psychological view, this is when his identity merges with emotional belonging. Love becomes part of his self-concept. He doesn't see her as a chapter, he sees her as part of his story. Spiritually, this is the heart's awakening, the sacred recognition that real love isn't possession, it's partnership. The realization of love is not an event, it's a homecoming. It's when two people stop trying to change each other and start growing with each other. The mirror effect. Love is self-revelation. When a man truly falls in love, something unexpected happens. The relationship stops being only about the other person. It becomes a mirror. Every feeling she awakens, admiration, fear, longing, or frustration, reflects a part of himself he has not yet met. At first, he may think it's her unpredictability, her silence, her distance, but over time he realizes love is showing him his own emotional landscape. This is what Carl Jung called the meeting of the shadow, the moment you stop projecting and start integrating. Love, in its rawest form, isn't about finding perfection. It's about encountering the pieces of yourself that only intimacy can reveal. Every argument, every trigger, every misunderstanding, they're not just relational problems, they're invitations. Invitations to heal, invitations to understand, invitations to grow. The inner child and the wounded masculine. When love deepens, the inner child awakens. The boy inside him who once felt unseen or unworthy suddenly has a voice again, and that voice whispers, "Don't leave me." This is why even the strongest men pull away or go silent when love becomes real. It's not disinterest, it's fear. The fear of being exposed, rejected, or repeating an old heartbreak. In psychological terms, this is attachment reactivation. Love reopens the files the heart tried to delete. But spiritually, it's sacred work. Because what love reopens, it also offers to heal. He learns that being masculine doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means having the courage to face it. And she learns that holding space isn't weakness. It's a language of strength that doesn't need control. The union of energies. When two people love with awareness, something extraordinary happens. The masculine and feminine energies stop competing. They begin to dance. The masculine brings direction, purpose, and safety. The feminine brings intuition, depth, and flow. Together they form harmony, a state of inner and outer union. This is not about gender, it's about polarity, the rhythm of giving and receiving, leading and surrendering, holding and releasing. When balanced, love stops being chaos and becomes creation. How to love with awareness. Love is both an emotion and a practice. It's not something that simply happens to us. It's something we learn to sustain, nurture, and grow. If we strip away the illusions, real love requires intention. So, whether you're in a relationship, healing from one, or preparing for your next, here are 5 practices that help both men and women experience love consciously. 1. Practice stillness before reacting. When emotions run high, our instinct is to protect, not connect. Before speaking, pause. Feel the space between the emotion and the response. That's where wisdom lives. 2. Share vulnerability, not performance. When you open up, don't curate your pain to look poetic. Just be real. Tell your truth without needing it to be pretty. Love grows in honesty, not presentation. 3. Honor polarity, not power. For men, embrace emotional leadership without dominance. For women, embody openness without losing boundaries. Balance, not hierarchy, sustains attraction. Psychologically, we call this secure interdependence. 2 whole people choosing connection, not codependency. 4. Communicate to understand, not to win. Most conversations break down because we listen to defend, not to understand. The next time you speak, try asking, what are you really trying to say beneath your words? It's simple, but it transforms communication into connection. 5. Remember that love mirrors your inner state. We attract partners who match our level of self-awareness. The more at peace you are within, the calmer your relationships become. Inner chaos invites drama. Inner calm invites devotion. On-screen quote, your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship. So how does he actually fall in love? Not in a moment, but in stages. Through curiosity, admiration, trust, safety, respect, surrender, and realization. Through the mirror that love holds up, showing him not just who you are, but who he can become. Love is not a chase, it's a classroom. It teaches through reflection, patience, and the courage to stay when it's easier to run. If you're listening to this, you already know. The most powerful kind of love is conscious love. The kind that asks, what is this teaching me about myself? If this message resonated with you, if it made you pause, reflect, or see love differently, then this space was made for you. Tell me in the comments, which part of yourself are you learning to understand better, the masculine or the feminine? Remember to like this video, subscribe to the Inner Dialogue, and share it with someone who believes in growth, healing, and conscious connection. Until next time, take care of your inner world, because that's where every love story truly begins.